You have nipple problems?
Well,
I mean, you're insinuating that there's an issue with both.
Well,
or could there be
more
three?
the right than the left? So,
is it chafing?
Have y'all heard about runner's nipple?
Yeah.
Right. Well, clearly I'm not a runner, but so yesterday was the big 1000th Murphy show on Super Talk, and so I wore a suit because as you do.
Yeah.
And
made your nipples bleed?
Well, where are you guys on undershirts under the dress shirt?
Yeah, every time.
Absolutely.
So I'm hit or miss, but it's by shirt.
So can I tell you something? My entire life changed on undershirts because of a tweet from Donald Trump where, I forget what rep it was, but look at him with his nipples out protruding on the floor. Disgusting. Disgusting. This is I think it was 2013, 2014, and I went, yeah, that is gross.
It's time for undershirts.
I'm I'm never not wearing an undershirt.
So if it's per shirt. So if the shirt has some sort of translucence to it, then obviously it's undershirt.
Mm-hmm.
If the shirt is, if I discover that there is a potential for chafing, then obviously undershirt.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple of, more kind of silky dress shirts that I don't do that with.
You kind of like it.
It's kind of nice. Well, I wear one of those shirts yesterday, and I experienced chafing. Nothing makes you feel more like a loser.
Is there
than
a
chafed nipple.
possibility, Matt, that as you're getting older, your nipples are maybe more sensitive?
Maybe.
Because can I tell you something?
It's possible,
Since we're talking
Dan.
about nipples, my nipples are suddenly really sensitive, and that has never happened to me before. It's bizarre. I'll be driving down the road, and all of a sudden my nipples start just doing something. And I'm like, is this something women go through? I don't know. Amy tells me you guys are are speechless. But Amy says that the older that you get,
just sitting here regretting bringing it up.
It's a thing that happens to men when I don't
know.
It happens when you get older.
I was wearing the shirt, and so you're in it, and I guess I understand the Band-Aid on the nipple for runners, because they do that.
Did you have to go to the first aid kit?
No, but
during the show?
No, never considered it. But
you should have.
Halfway through the show, I'm like, well, this is happening, right? And so I've got to deal with it for the rest of the day.
Nobody said you were going to make it to 1,000 episodes without a little bit of pain.
No pain, no gain, Murphy.
Toughen up. Toughen up. If we're dealing with this on episode 1,000, I shudder to think what we're going to deal with on 2,000.
Anyway, that's my nipple.
A little chafing didn't hurt anybody. Toughen up, Murphy.
Welcome into another edition of Mostly Peaceful with mostly chafed nipples. My name's Chris Hand, Dan Mandis, Matt Murphy. How you guys doing? How's everybody feeling?
You know what? I feel really good that I don't have chafing nipples.
But you did say you have sensitive nipples.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
Sensitive nipples can be fun. Chafing.
Sensitive nipples can lead to chafing nipples.
You know what? I'm making everybody uncomfortable. Let's just move on. I thought it was really cute last week.
Everybody's uncomfortable. Let's move on. Let me tell you something I think is cute. Okay. That's a hell of a recovery.
I think it was really cute last week how Murphy pretended to have a flat tire so you didn't have to do a podcast without me.
With Chris alone.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was cute.
I was a little afraid.
The whole thought process behind adding Murphy to the podcast was that on the weeks where one of us would be on vacation, the podcast could continue.
The show could go on.
At least we were under that impression.
I failed. I failed you, Chris Hand. I failed Mason. I failed the audience. And I apologize.
You failed me too.
You weren't here.
It's okay. I was told that
Where were you, buddy?
I was at Wilderness of the
Disney-
Smokies with my
Disney
sensitive
cruise.
nipples.
Close to Dolly.
Yep.
I was very close to Dolly.
Quick question, completely random. Who wouldn't you hang up the phone if you're doing a radio show? Because I never think it was a real possibility, but I was told that there was a vague possibility yesterday that Dolly Parton was going to call the show because Dr. Mitchell knows one of her band members. He's a client of Dr. Mitchell's. So they had made the connection and there was a vague possibility. And the question was posed to me, who would you hang up on? And I was like, well, the question is more, who wouldn't I hang up on for Dolly
Right.
Parton? And I don't think there's a human being that I wouldn't hang up the phone. I would treat some of these situations differently. For most people, I would just hang up.
Mhm.
Like there's no explanation. No, oh, Dolly's on the phone. Click.
I would be like, listen, no offense, I got a bigger name on the other line, and it's Dolly Parton.
If you're talking to Donald Trump,
Okay, here's another question. Who would you rather talk to, Donald Trump or Dolly Parton?
Dolly Parton.
It's Trump all day. Honestly, I have no interest in interviewing Dolly Parton.
Mm.
Like, I know I'm probably going to get it in the
I'm
comments.
glad I missed last week's show.
And
I
you
really-
consider yourself a Tennessean.
I really, I don't know. I don't really care.
I would rather interview Dolly Parton, even though I'm a big Trump supporter, but I'm going to be honest. I know what Trump is going to say to every question. I know what
Well-
he's going to say. Dolly Parton, I have no idea what she's going to say. She is amazing. And Donald Trump is amazing too, but I know what Trump is going to say.
This
'Cause
is
he
going
says
to
a lot
sound,
of the same
This is
stuff.
going to sound horrible, but my answer is dependent on creation of a time machine, so I can go back in time because I don't know that I would want. I don't know that I would necessarily want to interview Dolly Parton now.
You don't want old Dolly. You want peak Dolly.
Because I feel like, as we all are going to experience, if we are lucky enough to get to that age, I think Dolly has lost a few steps. I think there's more of a managing of Dolly Parton right now. I'd like Dolly Parton from like 30, 40 years ago, like prime Dolly.
You know, the great
that,
news,
I might
Matt,
poop
is
myself
that
if I interviewed that
after these comments, I can guarantee you she's not going to call in.
It's true.
Probably so. Well, probably fair.
Although, honestly, they probably won't tell her.
Man,
Because
wouldn't
she's
it be
so
cool if
managed.
Dolly Parton happened upon this podcast? It was like, can you imagine Dolly Parton sitting in her house watching this podcast right now, getting all pissed?
Oh, I'm sure.
We should make that the title. Dolly Parton, please watch this. And then if she gets through all the nipple chafing,
And the nipple
she'll know-
sensitivity.
she'll know how big of a fan you are.
I just want the opportunity to tell her, and I was challenged that I wouldn't do this, but I would tell her that, and I'm on record, that I don't remember a time where I wasn't attracted to girls, right? You know, when you begin to be attracted to people, I don't remember, I don't remember a time that I wasn't attracted to girls. I was always attracted to girls. But I remember the exact moment that I knew what type of woman I was attracted to. And that's when I watched Best Little Whorehouse in Texas and watched Dolly Parton walk down that stairway in
Yeah.
that outfit. I was
Mhm.
like, holy shnikes. Things are happening to my 13-year-old body that I didn't know was possible.
I was going to ask, how old were you?
But I think 12 or 13.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I was considerably older when I saw that movie. I knew what kind of women I liked, and they're like Dolly Parton.
My goodness gracious. Dolly, please watch this episode. Thank you.
He's just trying to make up for the fact that he's saying that she's now old.
Well, she is. I mean, she's in her 80s.
That's what every woman likes to be reminded of, that they're in their 80s.
I didn't say she was old. You said she was old. I said she's in the winter season of her career.
Okay. She looked really good though. Like I was like between me and probably out there with Dolly Parton. That's the distance between us. And but she looked good.
Mm-hmm.
I know
She
you were
looked good.
very excited.
You keep bringing it up.
He did the selfie, the liberal mouth open selfie.
I did. Here, you know what? Let's
Right?
let's show
Doesn't
that.
he-
Mason.
Wasn't that exactly what he did?
That's exactly.
It's a lib pose.
Let's all do that. Let's all do it. Larry.
I hate you all. Anyway, there's the photo.
We're just very jealous.
And well, you know what? You should be,
We are.
because
Very
I was
jealous.
this close. You know what? If I was any closer, her boobs would have hit my back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, Dolly's out again.
She's in, she's out. She's in, she's out.
Anyway,
There's some actually, if this happens, there's some assistant watching, wondering if this is right. Well, you know, these fine people in Nashville, they're cute.
Yeah,
Let's give it a watch. So maybe Dolly will watch, surprise them, and now you're talking about her boobs. And like, nope, click.
listen,
goodbye.
that wasn't a bad comment. She's very proud of her boobs. She paid a lot of money for those boobs.
She
She
did.
admits it.
She did. You ever seen the
What age do you take those out? Or are you just riding riding
I
that
don't
until the
know
train
if you
stops.
take them out unless they
know.
start leaking.
I don't know how all of that works.
I don't either.
I mean, it's silicone, right?
Yeah,
I guess. I don't know.
Well, they can leak.
if we have any scientists watching the episode, let us know in the chat.
Have you seen the David Letterman top 10 list that Dolly Parton did one time?
No.
I won't go through the whole thing, but the top 10 pet peeves of Dolly Parton. Right, there was the category top 10 pet peeves of Dolly Parton, and they go through the list. And the number one pet peeve of Dolly, and it was her doing it, obviously. And her number one pet peeve was, "I got a pretty nice ass too."
Okay, that's funny.
That's
funny.
good. That's making fun of yourself.
And you know what? I would put Dolly Parton's music against anybody's at any time. I think her music is obviously outstanding. I think she's a fine actress. I mean, she was good 9 to 5.
Oh yeah, she's serviceable.
Little whorehouse in Texas and all that. But I think that what I especially admire about Dolly Parton, to get serious, is how she has really embraced helping kids to read with the free book program that she has. Riker at home has a whole bunch. In fact, we actually said to Riker, you know all those books you have at home? It's from her. Because he did. He's got a lot of those books.
Yeah, of all the things she's done, I mean, it's the one thing, I mean, that a lot of people don't know about, and it's probably one of the most impactful things that she's done in her life, the Imagination Library.
Yeah.
But, I appreciate, I watched the Elvis concert flick because my mother was a huge Elvis fan. And they found this lost footage, and they created and it's insanely good. If you have any interest in Elvis Presley, I would encourage you to watch it. But there's a scene in it where a female reporter, it's like from the mid 70s. It's like pre-fat. I mean, he was about to get there, but because the fat Elvis was really only the last 2 years. It was really only. I mean, Elvis in 71, 72 in concert in Vegas was badass Elvis. But they're like, well, many people along in your stature and entertainment have made comments about the Vietnam War. Would you care to comment about? And his response is classic, because he's like, honey, honey, I just as soon keep my opinions on that to myself. I'm an entertainer. I just want to sing songs to people and have them come to my shows. And she pressed him on, and he's like, darling, I'm not getting into it. And I loved it.
That.
He's like, look, I just want you to come to my shows and be entertained. I don't pretend to have the knowledge to be any sort of expert on any of this. Just let me sing my songs and entertain people. Dolly has done that for the most part. They tried to drag her in on multiple occasions, and she got caught a couple of years ago saying something about, the Black Lives Matter thing. But her answer was, of course, Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. You think I just think my lily white ass matters? Of course, all lives matter.
Yeah.
And I thought her answer was fine.
See, remember, though, that if you dared to say all lives matter, then
you were racist.
But I don't know if anybody actually tried to call her a racist. She is actually, I think that Dolly Parton is above all that. She is such an icon, and she has done such good that I don't think anybody who tried to call her a racist would lose all credibility.
And these Hollywood folk, and Dolly is, through no fault of her own, a part of this, because she is so insulated from the real world. Chris and I were talking just a second ago about gas prices when we were coming in. And, I mean, the Oscars. I didn't watch any of the Oscars. My commentary on the Oscars is these people pretend to understand what we go through as Americans. They pretend that they understand what life is like for the average folks. And it's not even their fault. They have no idea what life is like for the average people. But so that's fine as long as you recognize that and say, look, I can't really comment on that because I don't know.
What I know about the Oscars was just the clips that I saw and what I read about it. And apparently they were particularly egregious this year, where it was just, all about, Trump and politics and all that. And I'm curious, is the default setting for Hollywood now that you have to talk politics and give your opinion and you've got to be leftist? Is there a Hollywood actor out there right now who takes the Elvis road, which is
Gene Simmons a couple weeks ago said all these celebrities and musicians need to shut the F up who cares about their opinion?
Loved it.
And then he looked at the TMZ report. He's like, why do you care about my opinion?
Right.
He's like, let's be honest. He's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Right.
And I think that's smart, and I think that's the way to go. Gene Simmons, by the way, not a Trump supporter,
No.
but I like the fact that he is brutally honest enough to say that. And I did notice that, and I thought it was interesting because he has spoken about politics in the past. But I think you'll notice, and I may be over my skis on this, so if I am, let me know. But the conservative Hollywood actors, musicians, whatever, they don't wear their conservatism on their sleeve the way that the left carries their liberalism on their sleeve.
Well, in the Gene Simmons case in particular, he's gone against Trump policies, but there's another layer to that onion. He's very Jewish. And so that makes you very pro-Israel,
Yeah.
which then when you look at the conflict with Iran and Israel, he's like, I'm staying out of it. I'm out. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah.
Like there is something more to that than just
Yeah.
No,
But like Chris Pratt. I believe that Chris Pratt leans more conservative. But he doesn't what's the right word? He doesn't wear it on his sleeve. He doesn't necessarily go up at an award show and start screaming for 3 minutes about the ills of America and all that kind of stuff and blames it on Republicans or Donald Trump or whatever. You can always, I believe, sometimes tell when I'm not going to say a conservative, but a Christian goes up on stage and thanks God and says those kinds of things.
you know, I was thinking about Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg is another one.
Yes.
Chris Pratt's another one. I don't know the actor, but he played Jesus on that.
The Chosen.
Yeah, on The Chosen. They're doing what is it, Hallow?
Yep.
They're
Yes.
advertising for that. And so it seems to be more of a faith-based willingness
Yeah.
to come forward.
Yeah.
But through that, they get asked these political questions, and they start answering wrong, right? Because the people asking the questions expect it to go a certain way, and when it doesn't, it seems like they veer away from it. But no, you're right. No, it doesn't play both ways, right?
No.
And that's what pisses me off more than anything is that it's not fair, and so you're clearly not broadcasting for me.
Right.
So I'm out.
And
Most America is out too.
to your point on gas prices, I don't think there's a lot of Americans that truly cared about the Iran conflict until the gas price spike happened. And then a lot of Americans been like, whoa, what is this? Diesel around $5 a gallon. How long does the Trump administration have for this to actually be a blip on the radar? I'm thinking unless the conflict's over by mid-April and we're starting to see prices come down, that we're going way too long with this stuff.
We were originally told what?
4 to 6
4 to
weeks.
6 weeks. What are we in, week 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think if this lasts much through I think it's like mid-April, right? We have to see resolution, and that resolution has to lead to stable. I mean, because the prices at the pump, they shoot up, and I get it, inventory pricing. There's a lot of nerdy stuff that goes into this. But, when something disrupts the market, they shoot up. And, it's like what's the saying is a rocket up, feather down. So they rocket up, and it takes a while for them to settle down. So the American people are going to need to see the prices going down in the summer.
Yep.
When they start taking trips, they're already noticing it. They're already getting annoyed. It will impact and is already impacting everything else. Everything that we buy comes on something that runs on fossil fuels.
Yep.
So everything's going to be impacted. I think you're right. I think it has to happen in April.
If it's not done, Iran's not done, and the gas prices are not going down by the beginning of the time when people start taking vacations. So like the end of school, whenever the end of school is, and people start hitting the road. If gas prices are not noticeably lower, then Trump's in trouble. Like I honestly believe that Trump will be in trouble because I think that, not to belabor the point, but he campaigned on lower gas prices and no new wars, and we're in a war. You can make the argument about, because I said that today, about how I thought that Trump made himself vulnerable because he campaigned on no new wars, and now we're fighting in Iran. And people said, well, this isn't a new war, it's an old war. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. We weren't bombing Iran when Trump went into office. And I, by and large, support what we're doing in Iran. But the messaging was no new wars and lower gas prices.
It feels like with our audience, though, there's no nuance allowed. You're either
Right.
all the way one way or you're all the way the other. And like, even if like you have a very fair, nuanced take, like, okay, I'll reassess this war down the road. We have to get through it.
Yeah.
The time to argue about whether we should have gotten into it, that's past. It's kind of a moot point. And people, oh, you're a warmonger. He promised no new wars. And then if I'm like, I wasn't a big fan of this. Oh, you're Neville Chamberlain. We can't. This is exactly what happened with Hitler. And it's like, dude.
I've been called a pacifist and a warmonger in one show.
Yeah, it's just,
crazy.
But that's what it's called, a nuanced take.
Well, and right, we all recognize that he campaigned on the idea of eliminating wars, not getting us into new conflicts. Okay, that's fine. And now he's doing this, which is different than what he said. So for the people that are screaming, he promised no, well, what do you want to do? I mean, what are we supposed to do about it now?
They consider
we
it a
voted
victory.
for the man. I understand that you consider it a campaign violation. I understand that you consider it a lie. But what do you want to do? Do you want to go to the White House and say, hey, because you made this promise, you have to stop all this? Now, that's not going to work. It's not going to happen that way. So for me, regardless of what I think about the decision to do it, we voted for the guy. I'm going to have trust that his administration is going to accomplish what they said they want to accomplish. And we can recognize the threat. We can recognize that, this is not a good human being. This is not a good, regime. And they've done awful things for the last 40 years around the globe. And if their goals are accomplished, where they get a stable government in that country that is more consistently and reliably friendly with their neighbors and the rest of the world and stops funding terrorism, that's going to be ultimately a great thing in 10 years.
Yep.
But I don't know that we can get there, is the problem.
What we really need is a regime that's going to get on board with the rebrand that the rest of the Middle East has been trying to go with, where they're focusing more on tourism, they're focusing more on exports, they're focusing more on business. There's a lot of money in that region. That prosperity lifts everybody up. Can you get there?
Well, I mean, they were there in 1979. I mean, they seemed to be, between, you see all these images and videos in the late 1970s. I saw one the other day of Frank Sinatra going to Tehran to do a concert in 1978.
Yeah.
And, you look out over the crowd and, it's women. They're just normally
Very
dressed.
westernized.
So, I mean, I think there's an ability to do that, but whether or not we can commit to do it is the question, because the problem is, I mean, just my sense that God gave me tells me in order to accomplish that, you're going to have to send over about 150,000 American troops and be prepared to station there for the next 10 years.
Start stacking bodies.
And
yeah.
I mean, I just don't understand how you accomplish that. On the oil front, I don't know why we didn't anticipate this in the Strait of Hormuz. Maybe we did. The administration says we did. So, okay, we've got to reopen that strait in order to alleviate the pressure on oil, in order to get gasoline prices down. Okay. I have full faith that the American military can do that. So you eliminate the threat, you eliminate the mines, you get in there and you get passage open again. How do you hold that? How do you maintain it?
Also, I mean, with the threat and the ability of drones, warfare has completely changed. You can launch those things from anywhere.
Yeah.
They are so incredibly cheap, so incredibly effective. You can't. You're playing whack-a-mole, and they can launch them from anywhere.
Unless you put boots on the ground, which is something that they're steadfastly telling us that they're not going to do.
But if we put boots on the ground, like you do understand the amount of horrific videos that we're going to get, right? Because like the footage that we've gotten out of Ukraine, there's going to be drone footage of our men and women being blown up, running away scared from drones because they know what that means. And that's going to break the American people. They're not going to be able to watch that.
And that's why you need to put the troops on the ground to impact regime change. because it's the regime that's sending out the drones. Now, but also remember, there's also factions within Iran that if there is a power vacuum, then you're going to have these different factions fighting for control. It's a power vacuum.
And I'm not trying to play contrarian here, but I mean I'm souring on all of this slowly. And I want to support our president. I do support our president. I do believe in him. I do believe that, I mean, he's surprised me in the past. And I hope that he surprises me again. But this massive level of resistance that we've heard about, where are they? Where are they?
Yeah. And,
and the answer I get is, well, they're too scared right now. They're too afraid. They're laying low. Okay, I'm going to need to see them at some point. I'm going to need to see the millions of Iranians that are thirsting for democracy.
But this is and this is when those protests were originally happening, I was like, this just feels forced, feels a bit like propaganda, feels a bit like Mossad and CIA tactics. I didn't feel like it was real or organic. And I think to your point, now that they're not there, when there's an opportunity to take back your country, kind of leads me back to my original theory. They weren't real. They weren't organic.
Who's got, like, the crap's getting real in the streets, right? So the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, is that what they're called?
The IRGC.
The IRGC. So they're out there hunting for the resistance right now. So that's number one. They would see protests now, I think, perhaps, as an act of war. The people in Iran are also finding out now that it wasn't a few thousand, it was 30,000 people that were killed during the previous protests. Number three, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, they've got the guns, and they're clearly not afraid to use them. Wasn't there a thing where we were shipping weapons to, was it the Kurds in the western part of Iran? The CIA was sending a bunch of weapons to...
Shipping weapons to CIA-backed groups has never backfired on us in the Middle East.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have all of these we have all these weapons that we've sent over there. And then it was like, oh, they're going to come in and they're going to take on the guard. And
then they were like, whoa, pump the brakes.
Yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago.
How many times have we said, if we just arm them, they'll take care of the problem?
Dude, when we did that...
How many times have we said
When we did that for Osama bin Laden versus the Russians, there were no negative repercussions for that.
No, not at all. We've tried it in South America plenty of times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no big deal. It's all good. I don't pretend to be the smartest guy in the room. I don't pretend to be the smartest guy when it comes to war tactics. I'm just desperately trying to figure out how this resolves itself in the manner that we're being told that it will, without dragging us into something where we have bases and stations in Iran for the next 15 years. And I don't.
Well, I mean, the thing that they have to do is, like, how do you save face? How do we back out at this point and save face?
How do we declare victory?
And then, do the Iranians even reopen the strait for us? Or is that just too far gone? They're like, screw you guys, you're not going through.
Well, it's going to be part of the negotiation. Like, each side is going to need to be able to proclaim a victory.
But
right?
our man has said that the only negotiation is unconditional surrender. That's what Trump has said.
Yeah.
Consistently. So, I mean, maybe there's a path where you can bomb leadership enough and kill enough. I said the other week that, I kind of like this idea of nation building. Trump's version of nation building is, we'll let you know if we don't like the guy you picked when he's dead, and we'll move on to the next one.
Yes.
And then when you pick the next one, we'll let you know when he's dead if we don't like him. That seems to be where we are now. I don't understand what happens when that void.
But is there ever going to be a void? I mean, there's a few 100,000 IRGC members, and they when the Ayatollah was in power, they had seven chains of command. You don't think that they've already replenished that? Like, who's next up?
Well, that's the thing.
So
there's just one goes down, another one comes up.
Yeah,
and it's
going to keep going. And their weapons are cheap. They don't care. Like, warfare's changed. The Navy doesn't matter. The Air Force doesn't matter. It's all drones.
And they don't care if they die. I mean,
They got their
they
birds
individually care if they die, but they don't care if their people die
Right.
as a result of all this. And look, I know that there will be some of our leftist friends will watch this and go, oh, look, Hand and Mandis and Murphy, they're down on the war, blah, blah, blah. I believe that this is the more, as you put it, Chris, the more subtle and nuanced conversation that the American people that are paying attention to this need to be having. Because, I think if you get our message to our congresspeople or whatever, it eventually gets to the president, hopefully. And but I don't understand how you change tactics at this point. You're kind of dug in.
I think the True Social post we saw last night from Trump after Israel attacked that that oil field shows that he is starting to realize how much people are pushing back against this. Because he comes out on True Social and he's like, just a heads up, Israel was a little upset. I don't know if you know this, with everything going on, they're a little angry. They did all of that on their own. And that's nice, but there's a lot of conversation that we're doing this for Israel. And I think that until we get out, that conversation's not going to go away. And I don't think Israel has any interest in ending any of this. Like, you tell me if I'm wrong.
Why would Israel want to spend time, resources, and bodies? I think Israel would want to end it. Why would they want to carry it on?
Because they're the biggest threat in the region. I mean, I don't
Well, yeah,
know.
but if you,
I think they don't want. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I would agree. They don't want to end it until they consider that the entire threat.
well, that's what I mean. Like, in
Is
other words,
over.
they don't want to end it until the regime in Iran is gone. So I think that's what Israel wants, and obviously that's what Donald Trump wants. I think, though, that Israel probably feels more passionately about this at this point than Donald Trump does. Like, if this crap keeps going on and gas prices keep going up and Trump has to keep, I'm not going to say he's apologizing for Israel, but when he comes out and he says Israel did this on their own, it's almost like that's a reflection, some would say, on Donald Trump's partnership with Israel. Like, okay, so Israel is doing this stuff. If this is supposed to be a partnership,
If that's our greatest ally.
and that's our greatest ally, and they're doing that stuff, and Trump has to come out and say, wasn't me, well, then that makes Trump look bad. Because,
Well, I mean, don't you remember at the end of June when we have a ceasefire, the 12-day war is
Yeah.
over, and then Israel had jets on the way to Iran, and he goes, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
yeah, I remember that.
So, on the ground, we've bombed their navy, we've bombed their air defenses, we're tracking down the guard. I don't understand what the next step is outside of the Strait, right? We try to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. That's a sticky wicket because of the drones and because of the mines and because of all of the rest of that. And I just don't know what, do y'all know what the next step is? I mean, what's the next phase?
I mean, it seems to me the next phase, and I'm far from a military expert, but rooting out and killing enough of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, you got to kill enough of them that the rest of them say, screw it, this isn't worth it.
But don't we all understand that's not going to happen?
You're going to have to kill all of them.
Yeah.
Then
we're talking genocide at that point. Like,
well, but it's war. I mean, it's war. You're right about, I understand what you're saying about genocide, but if they're shooting at us, then we're shooting back, and that is war, and bad things happen in wartime. And I'm not going to miss the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, and neither will the people in Iran. But that's number one. Number two, you got to kill enough of the government in Iran. And so we're basically, I mean, if we're talking about the next step, we got to kill enough of the regime so that we could put in whoever it is that is
And now we're
going to
nation
go
building.
in. And that's when
And guess what the most vocal and violent Iranians are not going to accept?
a new government that is
That is
approved,
installed by the United
that
States
is
of
installed
America.
by the United States.
And
That's-
so what happened? I mean, this is just my analysis. So we get to that point, and I don't disagree with you.
Right.
We say, okay, this government is acceptable. There's civil war. All hell breaks loose, and we have to go in and fix it. And so now we have stations and bases and things and everything that America said that they didn't want again.
Yep.
That we had just finished in Afghanistan for no reason.
And don't forget,
Iraq for no reason.
eventually we're going to have to start rebuilding Ukraine. So
and we
can you
have,
imagine if
and
we
we
have
have
to,
no track record of success doing it anywhere else at all.
And the frustrating thing about this is that all three of us recognize, like when he did the Venezuelan piece, we're like, well, that is A, in our hemisphere, and B, we get a sense that those people realistically were thirsting for freedom.
it's a hit and run too.
Right?
Get out.
There were plenty of those people in Venezuela that remembered what life was like before Hugo Chavez. And they remembered that life was good. And they recognized the importance of getting that back. And so there's a feeling that you remove Maduro, you have legitimacy because he's wanted for narcoterrorism or whatever, and he's not the legitimate president anyway. And that seems to be going well. But I think it's going well because the people in that country have a basic understanding of how they want to be governed. These are tribalistic people in Iran, and I don't think they have the same thoughts about quote-unquote freedom that we do.
And South America also has a couple other examples of things working out pretty well so far when you work with America, like El Salvador and Chile.
Mm-hmm.
You look around the Middle East, and it's Iraq and Syria and Libya, and you're like,
Yeah, and it's all like any country that we do in the Middle East that we have relations with, it's all monetary transactions. It's all business.
Yep.
It's all you have money and we have product and we're going to do business together and we're going to play nice because we need that business to go on.
Yeah.
And, the Iranians, my fear is that we don't have a plan B is my fear. Bottom line is that we don't have, when we stop killing people and breaking things, when we get to the point where there's nobody shooting back anymore, let's say we get the Strait open up, then what? How do you hold it?
Well,
You just walk away and let it just descend into madness like it was. And I'm just worried that, what are we up to? 13 people dead now?
13. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that they died for something. That's all.
Right. Well, and I agree with you.
Forget the money. Good Lord.
The first thing that I said when all of this was even being discussed is what happens after.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I talked about the power vacuum. I talked about trying to kill our way out of dealing with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, and it's a lot of killing. And I don't give two craps about, those guard or the Iranian regime, but when you leave a power vacuum and you've got all those different groups in there, that's when civilians start dying. So whoever, and you're right, if there's a president that is installed or approved of by America, there's a very violent faction in Iran that will not accept that. And so who's going to deal with those factions? And will the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, will they protect or stand by whatever a government Donald Trump approves of? Probably not. So you're right. I'm not going to go down the way of quagmire and all those kinds of things. I think it's too early for that. But
we're getting dangerously close.
You can see as we go down the line that things are getting really tangled.
Well, and that's why I'm like, okay, what's the out to help us save face? And do the Iranians go along with it? Because we could say, yep, we've accomplished everything. We took out their Navy. We took out their missile capability. We took out their Air Force, and we're done here, guys. Great job, everybody.
Mission accomplished.
And then they go, yeah, fuck you. We're not opening the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
See, do
you know what I'm saying?
If there's some sort of back channel where they open that up and they just quietly and they stop all that, that's the out. But if they don't do that, they're like, screw you. Then.
But at this point, you have to, I don't know. If they took out all the levels of our leadership, would you want the next guys up to go, okay, everything's great, or would you want them to go, screw you?
Yeah, the problem is, I don't know. We can suppose what is it, 93 million? We can suppose that we know what these people think. I'd be really curious what they think. about America. And I don't know that we get an accurate portrait of that.
No, that's the other. I mean, everything coming out of that country is through their lens,
Right.
and then it goes through another lens before our media disseminates it.
Right. Or it's coming out of Israel, and I mean,
And there's that
that
lens.
lens. I mean, so it's all distorted and tainted.
And everybody hates the other so much, and it's like ingrained in them.
You talk about quagmire. There's an old line from a Bob Dylan song that I love. It's not dark yet, but it's getting there. Right? I mean, it's getting there where, this, we want to believe, and I still hold on to the hope that our guy in the White House is different, and he can handle these things differently, and he can maneuver these things differently. And, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was losing hope that was going to be the reality when all is said and done.
I think one of my big concerns, too, is like Pete Hegseth came out today. We're taping this on Thursday. So Pete Hegseth comes out and he says, I think this is like the third time we've heard this. They're going to get hit with a missile barrage like they have never seen before.
That is overwhelming force applied with precision. And again, today will be the largest strike package yet, just like yesterday was. As I've said from day one, our capabilities continue to build. Iran's continue to degrade. We're hunting and striking death and destruction from above.
Like worse than the
most ever,
which is exactly what he said a couple of times ago. He said that, I think, at least once or two other times.
Mm-hmm.
So my question then would be, how is Iran still standing? I mean, we are, between us and Israel, two of the biggest militaries in the world, and we are giving them all that we've got. And now the Pentagon is asking for another $200 billion to continue this, and Iran is still standing. And the
defense
drones
contractors
are
got
still.
to eat.
What's that?
I said defense contractors got to eat.
Yes. But that's the thing. So what is it going to take to do what we need to see done in order for this to be over?
And how do you break these guys? I mean, is it dropping a nuke? Is that what it looks like? I mean, does that also wake up Russia and China? I mean, they've been a little bit suspiciously quiet throughout all of this.
Mm-hmm.
China's offering moral support. You're doing great.
Russia's giving them intelligence.
Not the best intelligence, but intelligence nonetheless.
I don't think Trump would drop a nuke, and because if we dropped the nuke and we ended up killing a bunch of civilians, and I don't know where they would drop a nuke, but I mean, if we ultimately ended up killing, many thousands of civilians with whatever nuke we dropped, and I realize there's different degrees of nuclear weapons, but that is the moment where we lose support from the rest of the world.
Would Israel drop a nuke? Because I don't know how much support they have from the rest of the world anyway.
I don't think Israel would go that far to drop a nuke. I don't think that they would, because that's how they would absolutely lose a Donald Trump, a support from Donald Trump.
I think they would only do it with our blessing, right? I mean, to do something like that, I think they would have to get our blessing. Because they're going to need our back after they do it.
Israel bombed the
oil field.
The oil fields, and that was supposedly without our blessing. So would they? But it's a big difference between dropping bombs on oil fields and dropping a nuke.
But
sadly,
the oil fields is a big deal, though.
Yeah.
Because then Iran started attacking everybody else's energy infrastructure, and that's going to put people into the dark ages.
Okay, so here's
it's going to
my
take
question.
10 years.
You're right.
Like, that spike is not going to be a blip. That is going to be a decade.
Why don't we just take Carg Island? That's where they do all of this refining.
Okay, but if you put boots on the ground, then it's the exact same thing. Now we're going to have video footage of our Marines being hit by drones on Carg Island.
Yeah, but
when you say take, you mean seize it.
Yeah, in other words,
blockade or put boots on the ground there.
If they're blocking the Strait of Hormuz, why would we not take control of Carg Island, and that way we're starving them like they're starving the nations that depend on the Strait of Hormuz.
I mean, they're being starved already by shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. They're cutting off their nose to spite their face, right? Like, I think everybody sees that. But if you took Carg Island, where There's a pipeline that comes in. 90% of their oil is going to that island to get refined, and then it's getting packed on ships, and then it's going out. I think the safest way to do it would be a total naval blockade.
Mhm.
But that just gets so risky, dude. Because there's going to be drones that are just going to be flying nonstop at that island. There's going to be video footage of all of it. It's going to be plastered everywhere. The propaganda is going to be extreme, and then they're going to have carte blanche to go after energy infrastructure in Saudi and in Qatar and in Bahrain and you know what I mean? You name it. They'll go after all of those.
Back to your original point, I agree with you that, outside of the political world where we get to debate, amongst Trump supporters, Iran yes, Iran no, good decision, bad decision, and their liberals are going to hate it and scream about it. Oh, you made these promises. But, honestly, I mean, I would like to believe differently, but at our best, we're reaching 20% of the country. 80% of the country is just, I don't know, knocking it. Some of them got their, thumbs up their butts, but some of them are just working hard.
Yeah.
They're hard at it. They're getting after it, and they don't have time to. They're not going to pay attention to a lot of the clatter. They are where they are. If they're Trump supporters, they're generally going to support this. If they are Trump haters, they're generally going to hate this. Gasoline prices change everything. It changes everything. It changes the attitude of every American.
Mhm.
Yep.
And back to your point, if we don't see an end game, and what's frustrating to me is that the White House doesn't seem to recognize this. And I understand that they give lip service to it. I hear Caroline Leavitt or whatever, but you need to be hammering every single day in a way that the mainstream media can't ignore it. We understand you're hurting right now. This is a temporary situation. Here's why it has to be this way now, and here's how we're going to get you out of it.
To your point, Vance did just that in Michigan Wednesday night, and I gave him the credit. With the Biden administration, they said, what inflation? Oh, it's transitory. Okay, it's here. And it was like this slow, long, drawn. The border's secure. What do you
Yeah.
mean there's an issue at the border? We need a bipartisan border bill because the Republicans won't let us secure the border. J.D. Vance was out there in Michigan last night. He goes, yes, gas prices spiked. We understand it. We're sorry about it. It is going to be a blip. They're going to come down quick.
Look, gas prices are up, and we know they're up, and we know that people are hurting because of it, and we're doing everything that we can to ensure that they stay lower. I will say, the president said this, and I certainly agree with it. This is a temporary blip, okay? What happened under the Biden administration is that gas prices were high for 4 years. Gas prices are higher right now, and frankly, they're not even as high as they were during certain parts of the Biden administration because of what's going on in the Middle East. It's not going to last forever. We're going to take care of business. We're going to come back home. And when that happens, you're going to see energy prices come back down to reality.
At least they're acknowledging it. Trump today in the Oval Office Thursday with the Japanese Prime Minister said, I actually thought they were going to go higher. And it's like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's like, but at least they're not avoiding it and saying they're lower than they were with Biden. What are you complaining about? Because that's the wrong way to go about it. But I think that they're hearing from the American people.
Temporary pain for long-term good. Need to explain the long-term good to the American people a little better. Why is this a long-term positive for the United States of America? Right?
I know. I could tell you why it's a positive for the Indo-Pacific because they get all of their oil from that region.
I mean, and I can come up with an answer to that question, but I kind of feel like the administration needs to come up with an answer to that question and say to the American. I mean, the answer is, when you get a stabilized Iran that plays nice with everybody else in the region, not just Israel, but Israel too, that's going to see more free-flowing oil. Their economy is going to flourish. It's going to be all of that crap. They need to be saying that. They need to explain to me why that's going to matter to me because that's going to end up resulting in lower gas prices, a better life for the United States of America.
I think that, like Marco Rubio, for one, has said that. I think part of the problem is that when the administration says that, is it reaching the American people? Is that message reaching the American people? Because you have a lot of the media that are just asking aggressive questions, which is fine. I don't have a problem with aggressive questions. But when a Secretary of State comes out and will state exactly what you said, is that really getting across? Is the media airing that, and I don't want to blame the media for Trump's problems, but I mean, I don't think they're always fair, but one way or another, they do need to get that message out. And I think they need to be consistent with it. I think that they need to hammer it. And I think that they need to show some empathy for the American people who really are suffering. I mean, I'm watching the text line at our radio station, and there are people that are suffering. And there are a lot of people out there where if they're paying an extra, I don't know, $3-4 a gallon in gasoline, if they are Uber drivers, or if they are, the folks who, deliver whatever it is. Truckers. Yeah. I mean, that really does have an impact. So,
of course it does.
Yeah. So Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Caroline Leavitt, those are the people that they need to reach.
Let's hope they get to it. And let's hope we win this thing. I mean, whatever that means.
That's a gret question, right? Like, you talked about what's the next phase. What does a victory look like? And I think we all know what a victory, ultimately what a victory would look like, which is a new rational regime and peace in the Middle East. And
both
Iran,
of those things seem just so far-fetched, though.
Yeah.
Like in the grand scheme of things, like to lead with, like, do you know what a good solution would be? Like, every single Iranian becomes a millionaire. All of them have a Maybach. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these things are almost more reasonable than being like a regime that gets along with the U.S. and peace in the Middle East. Like,
I don't pretend to say that they're going to get along with the U.S. But you said about the nations in the Middle East, right? We have transactionary relationships with them. That's all we want from Iran.
But I just think we need to recalibrate what winning looks like. I don't even think winning is the right framing right now. I think, how do we cut bait and save face? Like, I think that's more what we need to be looking at, as opposed to, like, can we win this thing? Because winning, it becomes a war of attrition, and these drones are cheap, and the bombs go bang.
I keep going back. There's this one thought keeps running through my head about all of this, and it's the messaging on Afghanistan. When we went into Afghanistan, the messaging was the Taliban are evil people doing evil things, and we must get rid of them. Who's in charge of Afghanistan right now?
Taliban. Right.
I cannot stop thinking about it.
Who's in charge of Syria today?
So the problem is,
who's in charge of Iraq? And that's actually a legitimate question. I really don't.
We
know.
have no idea.
It's all tribal.
Let us know in the
right.
comments.
Right.
Every time, well, I don't know about every time, but I'm no historian. But every time we've put ourselves in this kind of a situation, in my recent memory, I don't know if it's ever worked out well for us, has it?
Not in the Middle East.
I mean, Venezuela, when we got Maduro, but I mean, that was a completely different kind of an operation.
How did England do all these colonies so well and so effective? Because it seems like it was pretty much a downhill walk for them compared to what we're doing with regime change and nation building.
A lot of guns. Probably a lot of killing.
Well, the other thing that I would say is that we are dealing with unreasonable human beings. If you even want to call radical Islamic terrorist regimes reasonable, they're clearly they're not. And I don't. But that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people that have a lust for death, and
it's wild too, because it's like, if you really want to bring people over to your religion, like, wouldn't a little prosperity help? Like, hey, we're doing pretty good over here.
They use the lash, brother. I mean, that's their method.
Yeah.
They prefer the lash, and they have the ability to do that because, those people don't have guns. They don't have any ability to fight back. I don't know. But I agree with you. I mean, it would seem that would be the...
Yeah.
I think you just... A little prosperity, a little love, a little charity for fellow
Pat on the
man.
back,
I think you kind of just describe the differences between the major religions in the world in like four words, right?
Well, I don't know what victory looks like. I think that I know what a loss looks like, and a loss is going to be this carries on through the summer. Iran hangs on through the summer, and ultimately then the Republicans convince Donald Trump, probably too late at that point, that they're going to get decimated in the midterm elections if this is still going on. You said 4 to 6 weeks. You said no more wars. You said lower gas prices, and you violated every single one of those. Trump
Doesn't he have to get a vote after 60 days?
Yes.
I don't think he gets a vote.
Is this a war?
Well, he
I
would
mean,
have
we
for
never,
conflict.
but we never officially declared war in Iraq or Afghanistan,
right, but
and we were there for 20 years.
I think he needs. I would need to look it up, but I think he needs some sort of congressional. His war powers only last for 60 days under the War Powers Act.
60 days, then isn't it like a 30-day extension after that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they can do the extensions just with infinity, but I don't know. I'd have to look into that because, I mean, I don't think you could get a vote out of Congress to support what he's doing right now.
I mean, they can't get a vote to shut it down right now. They try to just do the War Powers Act, and they failed on it.
Correct, but I don't think they could do the opposite either. I understand that you can't get a vote up to shut it down, but I don't know that you could get a vote to get Congress on record to authorize what's going on in an official capacity either. And at some point they have to.
I don't know. I feel like mid-April is about the time where I start losing patience with this, and I've been preaching grace and space for the administration. But I think that grace and space does have an expiration date, and it's right around the second week of April.
And I just want to reiterate, because I know a lot of the haters will be watching this. It's kind of a downer. They're like, conservatives and whatever, they're souring on it. I have faith in Donald Trump, and I believe that his interest in this is pure. I believe that Donald Trump is an idealist in the sense that he believed this is just my feeling. I think he believed that there was a possibility to achieve peace in the Middle East if he takes out Iran. But I think reality is a bitch.
He aims high. I mean, he wants to do the things that people say can't be done, and that's one of his most redeeming qualities. But I don't know. This seems like a pretty big hill to climb.
His heart's in the right place. He has good intentions. The question is, can we actually pull off what he wants to pull off? The thing that I don't understand, as I'm assuming we're going to wrap this up soon, but the thing that I don't understand is the questions that we're asking. I'll speak for myself. I'm a knucklehead talk show host. But the questions that I asked when they were talking about this, what did you say?
I said fact check true.
But the questions that I was asking and the questions you guys were asking, because I listened to both of you guys, these are all questions that we were asking then, and here we are in the middle of all of that, and it turns out those questions were very valid questions. So were those questions being asked in the White House and in the Trump administration?
I'm going to have faith that they were.
I'm sure they were.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate. All right, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Strait of Hormuz. We've had warnings about Iran and what they were going to do with the Strait of Hormuz. They always talk about closing the Strait of Hormuz. So when Trump, and again, I'm a Trump supporter, but okay, so if we game planned this out and they close the Strait of Hormuz, Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, number one, why are we asking NATO to help? Because they're not going to frickin' help. UK, Keir Starmer's going to come to the rescue?
I think they thought they were.
So, okay, but what I'm saying is that
it's also really, really weird messaging when we're like, we don't need you, but
we don't need you, but we'd like you to help.
Strongest military in the world. We achieved victory by day 3. Can you come help us with the Strait of Hormuz?
And I also like how Trump pivoted on it and said that was just a little test, and y'all failed.
Yeah, that was actually.
It's like
really
we don't
funny.
actually need you, but we asked because we wanted to see who was with us, and all of y'all failed on it. So we hate you now.
I hope at the end of the day he's at least like, well, I'm out on Ukraine.
Well, but you get what I'm saying on the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah. How did you not see it coming?
There's two answers, right? That either they just didn't, or there were generals in the room that said, "We'll take care of that. Don't worry about it." if anything, I mean, those generals are confident that their military is the greatest in the world because it is. And so you either got generals saying, we'll take care of that, or admirals or whatever it would be, we'll take care of that, and we can maintain the strait. Or you have diplomats saying, Mr. President, when we engage in this way, when we see a bottleneck, when we give the ask for NATO nations, they'll have to say yes because their economies depend on it too. Well, they didn't say yes.
No, they didn't.
I mean, the calculation could have been too. Once we take out their leadership, they're going to be so lost, they're not even going to be thinking about the Strait of Hormuz.
All right, so here's my last question. Do you think that this has been more difficult for the White House than they thought it would be? Are they like, damn, we thought this was going to be a lot easier? Kind of like Russia thought that they were going to be able to take care of Ukraine, or everybody thought that Ukraine was going to be done in a couple of weeks. And here we are, 3 years later, whatever it's been. So do you think this has been more difficult than the White House anticipated for them?
My answer is yes, and I think that that's the best case scenario. I think it has been more difficult. Because if the answer is no, this was the way that it was going to go all along, then I don't understand what the next phase is to eliminate all of these threats. They don't seem to have the ability to do that. And so I think it's going harder than they thought it was going to.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment.
All right. Well,
what does victory look like to you? Let us know in the comments. How does the Trump administration get out of this? We will read all the comments. We always do. Everybody except Dan.
Can I just say one thing? Because I feel like we're ending on a down note. Just for the next 5 or 10 seconds, so we all feel better, can we just think of Dan's sensitive nipples?
And let's all have a genuine sense of appreciation that our nipples are not bleeding.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Is that your nipple?
Sensitive.
I don't know. That's my
You're
calming.
the one that brought up
that's
the
my
sensitive
calming.
nipples.
No, I said I had chafed nipples.
And I said that I had sensitive nipples.
Whatever nipples you got, smash the subscribe button, hit like on your way out, and let
Which
us know
is
what you
worse?
think in the comments. What?
Chafed or sensitive nipples? Which would you rather have?
Can we drop a poll, I guess?
Let them decide.
Moving on. Moving on. I guess we're done.
That's it.
You had to bring up the sensitive nipples.
I just feel like
you had to do it.
The Iran thing is just we spent an hour and it's such a fucking downer.
It is
We're being
a downer.
honest.
I mean,
That's
dude,
just honesty.
and
I think we need.
They need it. People need to hear.